Hi everyone, Borutonegz is back with another video. I made a poll here on YouTube some time ago, and people really wanted to see a Madara versus Jigen video. So yeah, here we are after a long time. I will divide this video into different parts for very obvious reasons. The first one will be about Jigen versus Madara with normal stats. Meanwhile, the second one will be about Madara versus Jigen, but with stats equalized. Without further ado, let's start by scaling Madara first. After Naruto and Sasuke obtained their respective power-ups from Hagoromo, they came back to confront Madara, and not just his reborn Sage Mode form this time. The first one to get to the battlefield was Naruto, and with his newly acquired 6 Paths Sage Mode, he was able to kick away one of Madara's Truth Seeker orbs effortlessly. And not only that, before Madara could even stand up, Naruto was able to get in front of him and throw a punch which Madara was barely able to block, even with his Truth Seeker Orb Staff. Then, Naruto proceeded to create a Sage Art Lava Raisins Hurricane, dodge one attack from Madara's Limbo, and throw the Raisins Hurricane at Madara. Madara couldn't even dodge it, and he was basically forced to take the blow and get his torso almost torn apart. It was at this point that Kaguya suggested Madara to absorb the God Tree. Madara listened to her and absorbed the tree, gaining an important boost in stats. The amp in stats was so huge that Madara went from being overpowered by base 6 Paths Naruto to being able to fight a KCM to 6 Paths Sage Mode Naruto plus Rinnegan Sasuke together. However, this Madara with just one Rinnegan was still getting overwhelmed by Naruto and Sasuke in the end, so much that he decided to run away, steal Kakashi's eye, and get to Obito in order to take his other Rinnegan back. Madara came back from the Kamui dimension with both of his Rinnegan, meaning that he had gotten a huge amp compared to when he had just one of them. That was hinted by Obito some chapters before. Plus, the other Rinnegan was Madara's own one to begin with. So Madara's strength boost was greater than the one Obito obtained by implanting one of his Rinnegan. And well, Obito wasn't capping at all. Madara came back with 4 Limbo clones this time instead of just one. He could even contend with Naruto and Sasuke together now that he had another Rinnegan, something that before he was barely capable of doing. While Sasuke was taking care of the planetary devastations and Naruto of the 4 Limbo clones, Madara awakened his Rin Sharingan and activated the infinite Tsukiyomi. Of course, getting the Rin Sharingan should have been a big amp, but it's unquantifiable, so we are not going to count it in the greater scheme of things. After Madara launched the infinite Tsukiyomi, Sasuke rushed to the ground in order to defend Naruto with his Susanoo. Meanwhile, Naruto took out all of the remaining Chibaka Tensei in one move with his Bijou Bomb Raisins Hurricane. Keep in mind that Naruto wasn't even going all out, since he feared to hit Sasuke, but still, he sliced those meteors like if they were butter. Sasuke was able to block the light shining from the moon with his Susanoo, and that prevented Team 7 from getting caught into the infinite Tsukiyomi. Madara descended on the ground and was ready to fight against Naruto and Sasuke for the last time. However, that was the moment when he got betrayed and stabbed by Zetsubito. That's all we have for Madara. Now, let's take a closer look at the feats performed in his battle against Naruto and Sasuke. Madara wasn't much stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, even once he came back with his second Rinnegan. We know that for a fact, since Limbo clones were stated to possess the same power and abilities as Madara, but Naruto alone was able to box/handle them without much problems. Both Naruto and Sasuke, as we saw before, could slice his Chibaki Tensei without much difficulty, with Naruto taking down many of them in one blow whilst holding back. As you can see, Naruto and Sasuke weren't much weaker than Madara at that point. Also, you need to consider the fact that they acquired their new abilities just a few moments before all of those feats were performed. So yeah, Madara was close to just the teen and inexperienced versions of Naruto and Sasuke. Now, let's see what happened after Black Zetsu betrayed him. After Black Zetsu stabbed Madara, he used his body as a medium in order to absorb the chakra from the people trapped inside the infinite Tsukiyomi. What's crazy is the fact that the chakra coming from them was far greater than the one of the 10 tails, as stated by Naruto himself, meaning that the being who was coming out from Madara's body, ergo Kaguya, was at the bare minimum at 10 tails and unquantifiably above stronger than Madara already. Then, Black Zetsu grabbed Naruto and Sasuke and absorbed their chakra into what remained of Judara's body. So, not only was Kaguya a 10 tails and unquantifiably above stronger than Judara, but she even had a portion of Naruto's and Sasuke's 6 parts chakra on top of him. Judara's body couldn't contain all the chakra that Black Zetsu gathered in it, so it started to explode. Kaguya Otsutsuki appeared right after in his place, with much more power at her disposal. The moment she manifested herself on the battlefield, Sasuke was surprised that a being as powerful as her existed, even after he had already fought Judara at his peak. Sasuke even stated that her chakra was far greater than Judara's, reconfirming my scaling, and the fact that Kaguya scaled massively above him. Keep in mind the fact that Kaguya was also holding back when Sasuke made that claim, since she didn't want to damage the earth, her so-called nursery. To add more consistency to the Kaguya stronger than Judara meta, we can even use statements outside of the manga. All of them still point out the fact that Kaguya was far stronger than him. The first statement supporting Kaguya over Judara is the one on the back of Naruto Volume 71, where Kaguya was stated to be more troublesome than Judara and his infinite Tsukiyomi. The second statement can be found in the 4th Naruto databook. This particular scan explicitly say that Kaguya's chakra surpassed the one of Judara. The third statement is on the back of the 36th DVD set collection of the Naruto anime. Here, Kaguya was described as a legendary being of incomprehensible power that dwarfs even the strongest shinobi, which at that point was Judara. The fourth supporting statement come from the Ninja Storm for game, the same game that Kishimoto was stated to have worked on. Here, Kaguya was confirmed to be the strongest and greatest enemy of Naruto and his friends. The fifth and last statement also come from the Storm for game. Here, Kaguya wasn't even using 50% of her real strength, but Naruto and Sasuke were sweating just by being near her. At one point, Naruto verbatim stated that her chakra was on another level than the one of Madara. So yeah, all of this essay summed up just proved that Kaguya was way stronger than Madara. Now, would Madara even be able to contend with Jigen, considering he was way weaker than just Kaguya? To answer this question, we need to understand the power gap between Naruto Shippuden and Boruto-era characters. The difference between teen and adult 6 paths Naruto is huge. After Team 7 defeated Kaguya and saved the ninja world, Naruto got another half of Kurama and an arm made of Hashirama cells. Those two things increased his level of strength already, and not by a low margin. Sasuke, in the Naruto, the last time period, was stated by Kakashi to be his strongest student, meaning that Sasuke caught up to all the amps Naruto got after the war arc ended. It was stated once again in the guides that in the 2 years after the war arc ended, all the characters had gotten stronger. In the picture is even shown Naruto, proving that he himself got actually stronger. In the promotional posters of the Naruto The Last Movie, Toneri was stated to possess chakra similar to Kaguya and also to be stronger than her. Many people don't believe in those statements, since in the movie, Toneri got clapped by a Naruto that wasn't even using his Sage of 6 Paths mode, ergo his strongest form. But in reality, Naruto was in his strongest form. Let me explain. The Naruto The Last Film was released the December 6, 2014 in Japan. Meanwhile, the chapter that we saw Naruto in his 6 Paths Sage mode for the first time came out the May 5, 2014. A film has obviously more than 7 months of production time, meaning the designs that were decided for the film were made before Naruto even got his Sage of 6 Paths mode. That's why he looked like he was in KCM 2+ Sage mode only. This is further confirmed by the fact that even Sasuke's design was off. We know that Rinnegan users can't revert their eyes back to normal. However, Sasuke was shown to have 2 normal eyes at some point in the movie. Naruto learnt to fly only once he achieved his 6 Paths Sage mode. He was never ever shown to fly in his Bijou Sage mode. However, in the movie he could fly, implying that he was indeed in his 6 Paths Sage mode. In the source material of this movie, the novel, Naruto was stated to be attacking Toneri with all of his might. Since when attacking someone with all of your might is holding back in a way weaker form, it didn't make sense for Naruto to hold back at that moment. Toneri stole his girl, and he was about to destroy the earth. Why the fuck would Naruto hold back against him? Shit makes zero sense whatsoever. So yeah, Naruto was in his 6-part Sage mode, he was going all out, and he defeated a stronger opponent than Kaguya alone, meaning that he got way stronger since the war arc ended. In the Sasuke Sunrise novel, which took place after the events of Naruto the Last, the narrator implied that Sasuke would have been able to take on an existence greater than Kaguya all by himself. That makes perfect sense, since Sasuke was stronger than Naruto at that point, who was stronger than Toneri, who again was stronger than Kaguya. To add more consistency to 19-years-old Naruto and Sasuke having surpassed their war arc selves, we can use different medias other than the movie and the novels. In the games, which as we saw before, can be considered canon, the Inferno-style Raisen's Hurricane of Naruto and Sasuke was stated for the beauty of 3 times to be the strongest ninjutsu up until that point. And yes, Kaguya's expensive Truth Seeker Orb was considered a ninjutsu too, so their combo attack was above Kaguya's strongest attack. So yeah, at that point of the story, Naruto and Sasuke were already stronger than Kaguya singularly. The same Kaguya who dwarfed Madara in power. But you know, Jigen didn't fight against their 19 forms. So let's check how the 19 versions of Naruto and Sasuke compare to their adult ones. Well, for starters, their adult forms are stated to be their strongest ones, as you can see right here. But let's not stop there, we need more consistency after all. In the Boruto anime, it was stated that Kaguya was building an army of white Zetsu in order to fight enemies that were stronger than her. In the first chapter of the Boruto manga, Sasuke came back from Kaguya's dimension with one of her scrolls, which had to be decoded. Some chapters later, that same scroll was brought up once again, but the deciphering team was having trouble in decoding it. Later in the same chapter, the deciphering team was finally able to decode Kaguya's scroll. Sasuke and Naruto's suspicions of a threat greater than Kaguya appearing on their land were confirmed to be true. When Sasuke arrived at the stadium, he said that the scroll contained a warning about Momoshiki and Kinshika's invasion, and also that they were after the chakra fruit because they wanted to make red pills out of it. What's key here is the fact that Sasuke knew Momoshika's name, even though he never heard it before. He only heard Kinshika's name beforehand, meaning that he read it inside the scroll. That alone debunked the theory of Kaguya being scared of her entire clan. Also, yeah, it's outright stated that the scroll contained a warning of the duo's invasion, so arguing that the white Zetsu were created to combat against someone else makes no sense. Let's see what it's stated in the other medias. The novel confirmed the fact that Momoshiki and Kinshiki were the ones Kaguya was scared of and was building an army of white Zetsu to fight against. The anime made it clear too. Momo and Kin were stated to be the ones mentioned in Kaguya's scroll, and the ones that Kaguya was preparing an army of white Zetsu to fight against. You could actually see their silhouettes even back in the Naruto Shippuden anime, episode 462. In Shippuden, it was also stated that the White Zetsu army was built specifically for them. Kaguya described the Otsutsuki duo as dreadful, and she was scared as hell of them. Even in the games, Momo and Kin were stated to be the ones mentioned in Kaguya's scroll, and also the two she was building an army of White Zetsu to oppose. Thinking that Kinshiki and Momoshiki weren't narratively implied to be stronger than Kaguya at this point is delusional, especially when 4 different canon medias tell the same thing, ergo the Otsutsuki duo being stronger than her. Adult Naruto and Sasuke actually fought against them, so let's see how they did against this stronger than Kaguya duo. Sasuke post-teleportation fought against Kinshiki, and whilst holding back, he had the upper hand. He was even able to cut his horn whilst fighting him only by using Kenjutsu. However, Sasuke couldn't take care of the two of them together. Even if Sasuke wasn't using his Susanoo, he was still getting pressed. He even stated that he would have been at a disadvantage if the fight against them had dragged on. On the other hand, Naruto fought Base Momoshiki. Base Momoshiki, amped with pills, was able to destroy Naruto's partial Kurama avatar, amped with Sasuke's chakra. Keep in mind that he did that with some random jutsu too. You can see by looking at Naruto's expression that he was in an uncomfortable situation, and the manga texts support that by showing Naruto struggling and grinding his teeth. Other than that, base Momoshiki was able to knock out a full-power Naruto with his Kurama avatar active. We need to point out the fact that Naruto could have easily deflected Momoshiki's bomb if he wanted to. However, the hypothetical damage that the village and villagers would have gotten stopped him from doing so. That means base Momoshiki could fight against adult Naruto just like Kinshiki could fight Rinnegan Sasuke. But overall, he still would have lost to him if Naruto really was at full power, since Naruto would have blocked his strongest attack and beaten him up in a taijutsu fight right after. The notion that base Momo and Kin were weaker than Naruto and Sasuke in a 1 versus 1, but still somewhat relative to them, was stated to be true once again in the Chunin exam arc official summary. Here, it's outright stated that the Otsutsuki duo's power wasn't inferior to the one of Naruto and Sasuke. And that's kinda true, since even if they were weaker, they still could contend with them. So yeah, the adult versions of Naruto and Sasuke were strong enough to beat the two persons who scaled above Kaguya. The same Kaguya whom already scaled way above Madara. But it doesn't end here, because Naruto and Sasuke even fought the fusion of these two Otsutsuki. Fused Momoshiki was so strong that even the adult forms of Naruto and Sasuke were getting beyond pressed. Fused Momoshiki was about to kill Sasuke with his ninjutsu, had not Naruto intervened in order to save him. Naruto then proceeded to fight Fused Momoshiki whilst going all out in his Kurama avatar. But it wasn't enough, Fused Momoshiki was beating him too, this time with his stone golem. Naruto and Sasuke were forced to unleash their Kurama avatar / Susanoo and merge them together in order to be able to put down Fused Momoshiki. Other than having blatant shown feats of this, it's even stated in the back of the Boruto volume number 3 that Naruto and Sasuke needed to team up in order to stand any chance of defeating him. The craziest thing is the fact that the majestic attire Susanoo, Naruto and Sasuke used to defeat Fused Momoshiki, was stated to be the strongest ninjutsu. Yes, one slash of that majestic attire Susanoo is stronger than the Inferno-style Raisen's Hurricane of 19 years old Naruto and Sasuke, and then the expansive Truth Seeker Orb that Kaguya used in the War arc. Madara wouldn't even be able to do anything against Kaguya, let alone her expansive Truth Seeker Orb, which is weaker than the Inferno-style Raisen's Hurricane, which once again is weaker than the majestic attire Susanoo, which was performed against Fused Momoshiki. The funny thing is that Fused Momoshiki was able to take a slash from that same Susanoo. But you know what? He was right back up some pages later without any fatal injury. Now, think about this. 19's Naruto and Sasuke only could already defeat Kaguya in a 1 versus 1. Then, we got their adult forms, who could defeat enemies even stronger than Kaguya, still in a 1 versus 1. Fused Momoshiki was stronger than them singularly, and got defeated only because they jumped him with their fused Susanoo. But then, you know what? We got this dude right here. Jigen, just in his Karma version 1, was already stronger than Naruto and Sasuke individually. And in his Karma version 2, he was even stronger than Fused Momoshiki. Let's take a look at his fight against Naruto and Sasuke. When I said that Jigen was stronger than them in Karma version 1 only, I wasn't joking. As you can see here, Naruto was easily getting defeated if it wasn't for Sasuke stepping in. Then Sasuke too was getting easily defeated, but this time it was Naruto stepping in and saving him. It wasn't until Sasuke took a break to analyze Jigen's ability that Naruto and Sasuke were even able to do something. After Naruto and Sasuke learnt that Jigen's ability was to shrink himself and objects too, they were able to almost hit/kill him by making him standing still whilst absorbing a giant Rasengan. After they nearly got him, Jigen decided to get serious and immediately went into his Karma version 2. Karma version 2 Jigen was a different beast. He was able to dodge a slash from Sasuke's perfect Susanoo and push him out of it with a simple common kick, all after he mocked his Susanoo speed. Sasuke got trapped on the ground by Jigen's rods, but thanks to his Ameno-Deokara, he was able to switch place with him. Then, it was Naruto's turn to attack Jigen, but just like with Sasuke, it was all in vain. Jigen covered Naruto's Kurama avatar with black rods and pushed him out of it with a simple punch. As a desperate last attempt, Naruto and Sasuke tried to cut Jigen's head off with an Ameno-Deokara Rasengan diversion, but it still didn't work, and Sasuke got pinned down. Then, Jigen proceeded to pin down Naruto too, a moment after. If you've followed this video up until now, you should have realized that the reason why I added an equal stats matchup is because the one with normal stats is an outright stomp in Jigen's favor. Jigen is above Fused Momoshiki, who is above Base Momoshiki and Kinshiki, who are above Toneri, who is above Kaguya, who is above Judara. And it's not like the difference between each one of these characters is marginal. There is a large gap in strength between each and every person. Well, except for Toneri and Kaguya, but yeah, you get the point. Jigen would quite literally blitz in one shot, just in version 1 Karma. Now, I'm going to cover the equal stats version of this matchup. That'll be the best part of this video in my opinion, since there is some kind of comparison that can be made. I'm gonna start with Jigen's win conditions first. Surprisingly enough, Sukuna Hikona to shrink himself wouldn't work against Judara. Judara has microscopic vision thanks to the Sharingan, so just like Sasuke, he would be able to see Jigen, even if shrunken. So, the first win condition would be by BFR. Thanks to the Karma, Jigen can create space-time portals and drop people into different dimensions, like he was about to do against Naruto. Madara has no counters to that, since he doesn't possess any kind of space-time ninjutsu. If he gets hit, it's over for him. The second win condition for Jigen are his rods shrunken with Sukuna Hikona. Hitting Judara's vital spots ain't gonna work, since he possessed fast regeneration. But if Jigen was to spawn a rod in Judara's brain, it would be over for him. However, let's be skeptical about it, since in the manga, he never did something like that. We'll use this win condition only as a last chance. The third win condition for Jigen is implanting Madara with the Karma. However, that would not be reliable, since we still don't know what makes a vessel appropriate to be implanted with the Karma without dying. We can consider the Karma failing to extract as the real win condition here, because if Judara fails to receive the Karma, he would die immediately, just like the children's Jigen used as experiments. The fourth and last win condition for Jigen, it's undoubtedly his massive battle experience and overall skills. Otsutsuki have more than a millennia worth of battle experience, and Madara just pales in comparison to that. That's all for Jigen's win cons. Now, let's check Judara's and see how they square up. Surprisingly enough, Genjutsu isn't a win condition for Judara. Why? Because as Shiki never reincarnated in Jigen prior to getting killed by Kashin Koji. Jigen was a monk being controlled by his Shiki from the insides, so ocular Genjutsu won't affect his Shiki, who is the real controller of Jigen. Would clones? Jigen has shown to be very capable of fighting against large groups of people. Also, one Sukuna Hikona, and it's GG for the clones. Truth Seeker Orbs? Sadly, Jigen can just shrink them with his Sukuna Hikona. Susanoo? It's made out of chakra, and it's not a living being. Therefore, Jigen should once again be able to shrink it with his Sukuna Hikona. The Rinnegan? Sadly, in this particular matchup, it would not give Madara too many useful abilities. With the Deva Path ability, Madara would be able to control attractive and repulsive forces. Yes, this ability could come quite in handy, but it wouldn't be game-changing. The Ashura Path ability would give nothing good to Madara. Mechanization of the user's limbs is a cool ability, but it didn't do anything concrete against mid-tier characters in Shippuden. So what use would it have against Jigen? Let alone the fact that Jigen could shrink every mechanical limb or missile with his Sukuna Hikona. The ability of the human path would be useless too. It would take up too much time for Madara to steal Jigen's soul. Jigen could just shrink himself and get away. The animal path ability would be totally useless here. The Rinnegan summoning are weak as fuck compared to Boruto era characters. Some rods are all Jigen needs to clear all of them. The Predator Path ability, which is chakra absorption, would be useless against Jigen. Jigen is not a ninjutsu type of fighter, he's practically a brawler, so there wouldn't even be anything to absorb for Judara. Judara wouldn't be able to do anything with the Naraka Path ability. First, Judara has no paths to bring back to life like Pain did. Second, the other ability to steal your tongue and kill you also wouldn't work, since Jigen can just shrink himself and get away from Judara / the King of Hell. The Outer Path ability would be useless too, since Judara is alone, he wouldn't have anyone to bring back to life. At last, we have the Chewbacca Tensei. It's not really a specific path's ability, but still, it wouldn't work against Jigen. This jutsu basically seal you in a globe of rocks, something that Jigen could shrink without much problems, thanks to his Sukuna Hikona. That leaves Madara with 4 remaining win conditions. The first one is the regular Sharingan. I know what you're thinking right now, how come the basic Sharingan is a better win condition than the freaking Rinnegan? Well, hear me out. For starters, the Sharingan would give him the microscopic vision needed in order to even fight the shrunken Jigen. Also, you are forgetting a key ability of the basic Sharingan that would be way too useful in an equal stats matchup. And that ability is Future Foresight. With them having the same speed, Madara would always be a step forward compared to Jigen, since he can predict his each and every movement like Sasuke did against Naruto in their first real battle. Do you remember what I said prior about Jigen being the more skilled fighter with countless more battle experience? Well, against the Sharingan, all that battle experience would be rendered useless. Madara could simply copy all of Jigen's taijutsu moves and replicate them, just like Sasuke did against Gaara when he copied Rock Lee's repertory. The second win condition for Madara is a jutsu that you probably don't even remember that existed. Wood Style Deep Forest Bloom. The pollen produced by the flowers, which bloom after creating this forest, can put the enemies to sleep, like it happened in the Madara versus the 5 Kage fight. It doesn't take a genius to guess the outcome of the fight if Jigen was to fall asleep. And no, Sukuna Hikona wouldn't work against this jutsu, since plants are living organisms. The third win condition for Madara would be his Limbo clones. 4 invisible clones of Madara that exists in a distant world with his exact same strength and abilities, and they can't even be seen if you don't have the Rinnegan. As you can see here, Sasuke was perfectly able to see them because he had a Rinnegan, whilst Naruto could only sense them thanks to the sensory capabilities of his new mode. Sasuke could only see the Limbo clones, but he couldn't interact with them. On the other hand, Naruto could only sense their presence, but he could interact and damage them. If you paid close attention here, Sasuke stated that he was able to see them, and Naruto was able to hurt them only because of their newly acquired 6 parts chakra bestowed to them by Hagoromo. The problem in this case is that Jigen doesn't have neither a Rinnegan to see the Limbo clones, nor 6 parts chakra to even be able to sense/hurt them. Jigen would look like Sakura here if he was to face Madara and his Limbo clones. He would simply touch an invisible wall each time that he tries to hit Madara, and get hit by someone he cannot even see nor perceive. Also, I've already said this, but do I need to remind you that Madara, with both of his Rinnegan, would have 4 shadows fighting alongside with him. The fourth and last win condition for Madara would be his stamina advantage. Not only was Madara brought back to life in a juvenile form full of Hashirama cells, but he had also absorbed the 10 tails on top of that base. The 10 tails being a creature with so much chakra that not even Sage Mode Naruto could sense the bottom of it. On the other hand, Jigen was just a 1,000 years old decrepit monk. We know that because that's when Kaguya came to the earth and betrayed us Shiki. Jigen's body was being kept alive only thanks to the Jubi's chakra and Amada's text. We saw Madara constantly fighting in the war without ever needing a chakra refill. On the other hand, Jigen was totally broken on the ground after he had a brief fight against Naruto and Sasuke. As you can see, there is no way that Jigen would win this fight if its stats equalized. Madara has way better win conditions, which are 100% reliable. Jigen would win only if you use the BFR argument or the, oh well, but he can spawn a rod in Madara's brain argument. The problem is that last argument is pretty ratty since Jigen has never shown something like this in the manga. Even if we want to give Jigen the benefit of the doubt, we saw that when 2 fighters are closer in strength, his rods can be countered quite easily. Naruto was able to block them with his bare hands in his fight against Shiki. Naruto here didn't even have any Sharingan Future Foresight, nor Sage Mode increased reaction speed. Meanwhile, Madara had both of them, and in this particular matchup, his strength and speed are literally equal to Jigen's. So yeah, he should be able to counter the rods coming at his brain quite easily. In conclusion, Jigen would stomp Madara in a normal stats matchup, but Madara would stomp Jigen in an equal stats fight. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share the video in order to support my channel and get more frequent uploads. From Borutonegz is everything. See you in the next video. Peace out.